Hey DawgNation, I'm Brandon Adams. Welcome into this special broadcast that we plan to do for you this evening as we prepare for the 2022 season. Things not going quite as we planned for them to do. We've been impacted a little bit by inclement weather here today, so I've kind of taken cover. We planned on being in Athens, obviously covering Georgia's continued preparation to get ready for Oregon. We planned on being here, but the weather's kind of wreaked havoc on us a little bit. So I'm actually, you see me, I am here at Sanford Stadium. The stadium makes for a beautiful backdrop behind me. In fact, if you look right here over my shoulder, you see even a rainbow. How about this kind of a nice, maybe a nice sign and a nice signal for the start of the upcoming season? You got a little bit of a rainbow over Sanford Stadium right now, which you love to see. But what you can't see from where I'm standing, I'm also undercover here there as well, underneath some protection because it has rained quite a bit here today, and our equipment, we're having to get that kind of protected and kept safe here there as well, because there has been a ton of rain has rolled through here. We think more could be coming through here at any moment, so we're going to try to see if we can keep all of our equipment dry, try to keep me as dry as possible, although ultimately I don't really care all that much about that. But we also want to have a chance, as we promised, to have a live interactive show with you this evening here from Athens, Georgia tonight. We'll obviously all be in Atlanta on Saturday for Georgia, Oregon, but why not spend some time in the Classic City today where all of the preparation is taking place? So in a couple of moments, I will start calling you into the broadcast. I'll give you a couple of ideas how this is going to work. When you're on air, everybody will be able to see you, except I will not be able to see you. I'll be able to hear you, I just won't be able to see you. So when it comes to that kind of interaction, the audience will be able to see you. Our producer back in Atlanta, Michael Carvel, of course, he'll be able to see you, and everybody else will there as well. But for us here, I'll be able to hear you, and so we'll have that conversation there like that. I just won't be able to see you, but you should be able to see me just fine. If you go to DawgNation.com or any of the DawgNation video platforms where you watch the show, you should be able to see a link to be able to participate in the broadcast there. And if you're just kind of tuned in and you're just like, well, what's going on here? You can also check out DawgNation on Twitter. You can find a link there as well. Think of this as back in the old days, the old call-in show, coach's call-in show in some respects. This is a little bit like that, except we're going to bring you on tonight via Zoom and have you as a part of our broadcast here this evening. Look forward to hopefully doing this a lot more during the upcoming year there as well, but inviting you to have a chance to do that here tonight. So when our producer Michael Carvel gives me the thumbs up that we're up and running and ready to go on that, we'll do that. While we're getting you lined up and getting you ready to go, I'll also give you a couple of ideas of what happened here in Athens today. I mentioned inclement weather that we have dealt with, kind of probably constricting our broadcast somewhat. We probably won't be able to go quite as long here this evening, just because we want to get out of here before it storms again. Georgia also had to exit the outdoor practice field today, take its practice indoors here for a bit. So Kirby Smart, when he spoke to the media a moment ago, said he was a little bit disappointed that they did have to leave and go indoors. And ironically, they're playing indoors on Saturday, but Smart said they wanted to finish up outside and kind of keep that, kind of same rhythm going. But ultimately, they had to go inside to finish today's practice, and so we're kind of inside, not quite inside, we're still outdoors, but we're undercover here just a little bit. I'll give you some more of what Kirby Smart said from his press conference a moment ago as he spoke inside the Butts-Mehre Heritage Hall. But as we promised, this will be a live interactive show. It's your chance to kind of weigh in, your thoughts on what's going to play out with Georgia, Oregon on Saturday, the feeling of playing for the first time, seeing the Dogs play for the first time as a reigning national champion. We'll look forward to hearing from all of you on that. In fact, our first guest tonight is Josh. Josh joins us live here tonight on the DawgNation video channels. Josh, welcome into DawgNation. We're glad to have you here. How are you doing tonight? Go ahead, Josh. So I don't know if Josh is speaking or if I just can't hear him, but we're getting a little bit of a disconnect. Josh, you may be muted, so go ahead and unmute yourself. In fact, let me give a reminder to everybody there on that. When you get ready to speak, you'll have to unmute yourself. You'll probably be on mute, so you'll have to unmute yourself. And just know that if you're waiting, we'll get to you as quickly as we can. And my certainly apologies for maybe not keeping anybody too long, because we just want to give more folks a chance to talk. So those three things to keep in mind. If you're waiting, we'll get to you. When it's your turn to speak, when I mention your name, go ahead and unmute yourself. And obviously, just know we're going to try to get through as many of these as we can here this evening. So with that said, Josh, maybe you've had time to unmute yourself now. And if you have, you can go ahead and speak to us here this evening. So I don't know if that's on my end or on Josh's end, but it sounds like Josh may be having a little bit of an issue there. So we'll get ready to take another caller here in a moment. And while we do, I'll also remind you of some more of the things that Kirby Smart had kind of talked about here a little bit today. One of the names that came up in that press conference a moment ago was Robert Beal. This is a guy that you know the story with Beal. He was Georgia's leading sack man from a year ago, now kind of back in that role here this year. I'll give you the quote from Smart on Beal in terms of what he's expected to do here this year, saying that it's built his confidence up. We're very confident in him coming back. He did a tremendous job at the end of the last year, and I think he realizes this is a big opportunity for him. So that's Smart, talking about the big opportunity that kind of awaits Robert Beal here this year as Georgia tries to replenish a tremendous pass rush from a year ago, finding a way to recreate that here in 2022. So with that said, we'll get back to our live interactions here. We'll welcome in Jeremy. Jeremy, go ahead and unmute yourself and tell DawgNation hello and tell us what's on your mind here tonight.
Hey, Brandon, can you hear me okay?
Warning.
I sure can.
You are entering a restricted area.
Yeah, Brandon.
Please return to the plaza.
I live here in the Houston area. I'm originally from the Nashville area, but I became a big dog fan as a little boy. But I can't tell you how excited I am to get a chance to go see the Dogs get running this weekend. Kind of like you know, I listen to y'all daily. I'm pretty confident in this weekend. I do think the linebackers, you know, based on what I've heard you and all the other guys talk about, they'll pose some problems. But I don't see any way that over the long haul of the game that they'll be able to hold up against Georgia's tight ends, the run game. And I do think Georgia, you know, it might be tough for a while, but I think they're eventually going to feast on the Ducks and have some duck flambe by the end of Saturday afternoon.
I love to hear that, Jeremy, and you're probably right. Those inside linebackers between Sewell and Flo, that's probably the one area on this Oregon roster, maybe not solely the only area, but probably the one area where it kind of reminds you the most of some of the top SEC competition that Georgia typically plays. Those are the kinds of linebackers that Oregon probably has, and frankly, they probably have some of that same kind of talent along the offensive line there as well. I think you would agree with me, Jeremy. This is probably a little more physical team out of the Pac-12 than some of the other teams that you could play out of that conference. That's kind of been what they were known for under Mario Cristobal, kind of, you know, leading into the start of the Dan Lanning era. So for Lanning, who has obviously a lot of history with physicality here at Georgia, you know, kind of bringing that to Oregon may not be quite so hard to do, just given some of the talent that's already in place, right? So good stuff from Jeremy on all of that. We got great comments kind of rolling through here this evening. Appreciate Jeremy weighing in. We certainly appreciate him, as he said, listening to our programs here around DawgNation, including DawgNation Daily each and every day. I appreciate that. That's a great comment and a great way to get started. Jeremy excited about seeing the Dogs as the reigning national champions on Saturday, and also, as you heard from him, feeling pretty confident in this game there too. So good stuff there from Jeremy on that. Let's check in with Danny here. Danny joins us on the DawgNation video channels here on Tuesday night. Danny, thanks for spending some of your night with us and thoughts on the Dogs. So with that said, go ahead and get going.
Hey there, B.A. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing just fine. How am I looking for you guys tonight?
I think probably pretty good. I can hear you, and the folks out in the audience can see you, so I'm sure everybody's having a great time.
Okay. Well, hey, man. I just want to tell you I listen to you every day, and I really appreciate the hard work that you and Michael and the crew put in for us on every day on DawgNation Daily, and I just really appreciate it. That's all I wanted to say.
Boy, I tell you what, Danny, that means the world to me. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for saying that. Thank you for watching, listening to the shows. Thank you for shouting out our producer, Michael Carvel. You know, one of the things that you see is me a lot in a situation like this. But trust me when I tell you, me standing in Athens and listening to you as you speak and broadcasting this all across the fruited plain of DawgNation for everybody to see and hear, it is not nearly as easy to do as maybe sometimes our producer like Michael Carvel makes it look. So I'm certainly appreciative of the folks kind of behind the scenes who help make all this possible, and especially appreciative for those of you who tune in, who take the time to watch, who join us here on a Tuesday night. Obviously there's a lot of things you could be doing right now, but the fact that you join us, you talk to us here about all of that, that's a very special thing, and I certainly appreciate that. And we'll look forward to taking more of your calls here this evening. And as you kind of tune in, also notice the fact that we have a really beautiful sunset starting to form here around Sanford Stadium. It's great to see, and you see the the rainbow there in the background. I don't know. I was already feeling pretty good about Georgia-Oregon on Saturday, but to see the scene here behind me with the gorgeous sunset and the rainbow, it actually makes me feel even better about how this may play out there on Saturday. I don't know if y'all noticed this. So where I'm standing is in kind of that west end zone plaza. And if you come here during the week, the area is kind of open, so you can actually walk behind where I am right now. We're not doing that. We're not getting closer because it's going to probably rain again in a moment. I don't want to get wet, or at least I want to protect the equipment more than anything else. But I guess somebody a moment ago got a little too close, and like this huge alarm voice goes off. Warning, you've gotten too close. I don't know if y'all could hear that a moment ago, but that kind of sounded off there. So it's a cool place to be. It's a beautiful spot. Obviously, with the rest of Dog Nation, Mike Griffith, Connor Riley, as they cover the events of Georgia practice today, getting a chance to hear from Keely Ringo a moment ago, getting a chance to hear from a couple of Georgia players today, obviously Kirby Smart. So coverage of that ongoing here at DawgNation.com. But on this live interactive show, it's your turn to speak. We're happy to have your comments here this evening, including Brian here, who joins us on the Dog Nation video channels. Brian, make sure you're unmuted and go ahead and tell Dog Nation what's on your mind.
What's up, BA? Brian Whitehead. So good to be on with you tonight, buddy. I can't hear you for some reason, but I hope you can hear me. Just wanted to make sure that I pointed out a few things that Glenn Schumann had to say in his press conference. I don't think anybody's really covered it all that much, but I know everybody thinks that the Georgia defense is going to take a step back this year, but Glenn Schumann made sure to remind us that 19 of our Georgia defensive players took over 200 snaps last year. That's huge, guys. If you aren't following Georgia football on a daily basis, and you hadn't been to the games, I promise you these guys have been in the game. They have got excellent amount of snaps, and they've put in the work, and they're going to be ready to go this year. So make no mistake, we're not taking a step back on defense. I guarantee you we're going to go out and shut down the Oregon Ducks. And I love BA's prediction that we're going to zero the Ducks come Saturday, and I'm going right there with you, BA. So go Dogs.
Brian, that's great stuff. Thanks for being here this evening. I love the words you share there from Glenn Schumann, one of the co-defensive coordinators on this team. A couple of thoughts about what Brian had to say. First of all, a little earlier today, Kirby Smart, in talking about the way in which Schumann and Muschamp are going to work together, specifically who will be in the booth, who will be down there on the sidelines. Kirby said that's still in the process of being decided. Now, whether that really is in the process of being decided or whether that's an example of Kirby just not wanting to reveal that right there, that is something that Kirby Smart talked about a moment ago. And Brian, I also like your thoughts on the Schumann press conference. We got a chance to hear from him way back when the summer practices, the preseason camp began. I thought he struck a really great tone with that. I think Georgia's still lucky to have Glenn Schumann in the role that he'll be in this year. And a lot of what you say about young players, so many of those guys taking a lot of snaps. Georgia plays a lot of guys. They do rotate a lot of guys in and out very frequently. And I love what Nolan Smith, I don't know if you had a chance to hear and see Dog Nation Daily here today, but one of the things we talked about is something that Nolan Smith said on Monday. Those young players are hungry. As he said, hungry, which if you grew up in Hall County like I do, that's the way we talk in Hall County. We know what it feels like to be hungry. We know what it feels like to really be chomping at the bit for a chance to go out there and show what you're all about. And that's what Nolan Smith says these young defensive players who are stepping into a bigger role this year are ready to do. So much the same way our last commenter, Brian Whitehead, said he doesn't expect to step back in the Georgia defense. You may be comforted to know that earlier this week, Nolan Smith said he didn't expect much of a step back from the Georgia defense too. So that is exciting to think about. And I hope that you are appreciating the fact that I don't know that I've ever seen a prettier sunset in Athens what we have right now. I wish I could kind of turn the camera around. I'm not going to do that because gosh knows what that's going to do if I try to. But if you think about how you sit in Sanford Stadium looking across the west end zone, the reason why that end zone has always been open, the reason why it's not a full closed-in bowl is because, as many of you are aware, it's just so beautiful when you look out towards campus, when you look across kind of the State Student Center. Y'all, I mean, it's amazing. It's gorgeous. I wish I could flip it around and let you see it, but I'm not going to just because we've got a good thing going right now. I don't want to mess it up. But I'm just telling you right now, Athens has really been more beautiful than it has on the other side of what has been a very stormy day here in the Classic City. How about our buddy Guatemala Mike? We love checking in with Guatemala Mike. Mike, make sure you unmute yourself and go ahead and speak to us live on Dog Nation tonight. Your thoughts about these dogs as they get ready for Oregon on Saturday.
Oh yeah, great,
Mike, go ahead.
great to hear you. We are in Guatemala. I know that surprised you, but yeah, we live. Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me?
Live in Guatemala? I just thought that was a nickname. Do you really live in Guatemala? So I don't know if I'm getting interference on my end or if Mike's got a little bit of a bad signal there. If he's, I guess, reaching out to us from Guatemala. Mike's a great commenter. He shows up on our YouTube page a lot. And I just always thought that was some sort of nickname for some reason. But apparently, if I heard correctly there, maybe Guatemala Mike actually does live in Guatemala. It also sounds like you've got a bad connection. So we'll let you go for now, and you can hop back in and speak to us again, maybe get a little bit better signal. But thanks for reaching out tonight. And for those of you that are just tuning in, this is something special that we're trying. It's something that we want to do more this year. We did this before the national championship back in January, where we took your comments, we let you speak on air. Normally I read your comments. A lot of you are like, BA, we like that, but how about giving us a chance to speak? How about doing this like an old school radio show? Let's just take some calls. And so we're going to try to do that more this year. We have some fun plans for that. And we said, hey, why not, as a great way to kick off the season, since Georgia had some media availability and some preparations in Athens today. Let's be here in Athens. Let's cover that. Let's be a part of the team at DawgNation that's doing that, and also give you a chance to weigh in on all of this too. So we'll keep these going, and if you go to any of the comment sections, certainly DawgNation.com, Facebook, YouTube, I believe there's even a link, a tweet from the official DawgNation Twitter account. You can find the link, click into the link, get into the show. You'll kind of be in like the waiting room or the queue. Eventually Michael Carville will bring you in. If you're there, hold on and wait for us. As you can see, we're trying to move through these pretty quick. So we want to give everybody a chance to speak, at least as long as we can. If the threat of rain pops up again, I may have to kind of pop out of here after that. But as long as we can to sort of stay on the air, as long as everything sort of cooperates with us, we'll try to do that from Athens here live at Sanford Stadium here this evening. So hang out, stay on hold. We'll get to you as quickly as we can. Our buddy Bryce Dixon, who's a big dog fan and such a great commenter on our shows for many years, he joins us now. Bryce, make sure you're unmuted and go ahead and tell DawgNation how you feel about this game against Oregon coming up on Saturday.
What's going on, BA? Can you hear me good? Can you hear me, BA?
I sure can, Bryce. We can hear you. Go ahead.
All right, man. Yeah, it's good to have everybody listening in. I'm looking forward to the Georgia Bulldogs going against Oregon Saturday. I know Stetson and everybody else will be really prepared for this game. This is nothing new for Stetson or any of our guys. They're well prepared for this game. They've been in that stadium. They played many times. I think that Georgia's going to give Oregon all they can handle.
I love it, Bryce. Thanks for the call. Appreciate you reaching out and being a part of the show here tonight. I'm glad that you mentioned Stetson Bennett in particular. Saturday could be a big day for him, and we're going to talk more about Stetson tomorrow on DawgNation Daily, but it's a chance to show, I think, some improvement, right? Year-over-year improvement. Stetson was along the way towards leading Georgia to a national championship at the end of last season, but at the beginning of the year, he wasn't Georgia's starting quarterback. Georgia played a big game in a neutral site against a ranked opponent in Clemson, and Georgia didn't score an offensive touchdown there that day. Now, there's a lot of insinuating circumstances. That Clemson defense is probably better than the defense that Georgia's going to face against Oregon this particular Saturday, but this will be a chance for Georgia to show, hey, year over year, this is what the offense is capable of doing. And you can use a similar measuring stick for the defense, too. A year ago, in a big-time kind of neutral site, non-conference spot, Georgia also pitched a shutout, kept the team that was playing without an offensive touchdown, got a defensive score to help win that game. Comparing how Georgia plays this Saturday against Oregon to how it played a year ago in a similar situation against Clemson, I do think that creates for kind of an interesting measuring stick. And I love hearing a big dog fan like Bryce Dixon. He's a big one. He's been with us for a long time. Love hear him being so confident about what to expect from Georgia coming up on Saturday. That's great to be able to hear. Let's check in with Aisha. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Am I saying that right? Is it Aisha? Aisha, thanks for being with us here tonight.
It's just Isha. It's Isha, but Isha do. How you doing, BA?
All right. Thank you, Isha. Good to have you here. I'm doing great. I'm glad to have you here.
Yeah, I've been out of the net for a couple of weeks after my surgery. I've been having an issue with a little blood clot in my arm on the opposite side. So I've been missing the show. I was able to catch this one because I was up and around and caught the show. So I missed a lot of the last couple of weeks since then, but it's always great to join this show. This is nice that y'all doing this right here. It's pretty cool. So I just want to say thank you. I missed a lot of stuff. I'm ready for the game, that's for sure. And can't wait for it to happen because right now I'm dealing with this little gadget on my finger and my other arm. I'm trying to deal with that blood clot. So I've been struggling for the last couple of weeks with this little pain, but I've been fine other than that.
Well, listen, I certainly hope you feel better soon. You'll continue to be in our prayers. You're always such a great commenter. We appreciate you weighing in. I believe we see you on Facebook there a lot with those great comments. So we're glad to have you with us when you can be a part of our show. We hope you're feeling better soon. And I'm guessing that a big Georgia win on Saturday would probably help you as you're getting over those blood clots. So we wish you well in all that, and we hope that you get a chance to see a good performance from the Dogs on Saturday. And thanks for being a part of the show here on Tuesday night. And we'll look forward to seeing you back again on DawgNation Daily very soon, too. We appreciate your comments and we appreciate you being a part of what we're doing here. And thanks for joining us here tonight. Richard Dees is also in the comment section. Richard's another one of these guys that weighs in a lot with his printed comments, and we'll get a chance to hear from him and see him here tonight. So, Richard, glad to have you on board. Go ahead and unmute yourself and let DawgNation know what's on your mind as we get ready for Georgia and Oregon coming up on Saturday.
Doing?
Hey, Richard, how are you?
I'm good. How y'all doing?
We're doing great. What's on your mind tonight?
Well, I'm just sitting out here on the front porch with the kids and enjoying your show, and I'm excited for the game. I'm thinking, I'm hoping for a defensive score right from the jump, and the person I'm most excited about is seeing Arik get out there and play for the first time.
I think those are two great comments, Richard. First of all, I mean, go ahead. Richard, we appreciate the call tonight. Thanks for being here, and I think you have two great comments. I appreciate you being with us here tonight. First of all, can you imagine the excitement if Georgia does get a defensive score? Can you imagine after all that's been set up at the Georgia defense, and obviously this group trying to live into the reputation that was established by that historic 2021 defense, if Georgia were to begin Saturday's game or in some portion of the early stages of that game, if they were to get their own defensive score, if they were able to do and kind of mirror what Christopher Smith did a year ago against Clemson with that interception return for a touchdown or a fumble recovery or something like that, I do believe that roof might just sort of blow off of Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We know how loud it got in Indianapolis on that Monday night when it looked like Georgia was about to salt away that win against Alabama. And you can only imagine how much louder it's going to be in Mercedes-Benz Stadium because there's just simply going to be so many more Georgia fans. How much louder it's going to be in Atlanta if Georgia does the same thing or a similar thing against Oregon this particular Saturday. Also interesting to hear Richard bring up the name Eric Gilbert. I think of all the position groups for Georgia, that's the one right now that's probably the most intriguing because we know that Brock Bowers is going to get his. I think that Bowers is one of the two players in this team, best two players in this team, and probably one of the 10 best players in the entire country. Frankly, when it comes to pass-catching targets, and I'm going to use that phrase intentionally, combining tight ends with wide receivers, I don't know that there is a better pass-catching target in the country than Brock Bowers. With all due respect to Jordan Addison at USC, he's terrific. With all due respect to anyone that Ohio State has had, whatever else, I don't know that I'm taking anybody right now over what I think that Brock Bowers can do for this Georgia offense. So that's one of the guys that's in there. But as Richard says, hey, I'm ready to see Eric Gilbert playing college football for the first time in a long time after a freshman year at LSU. Now back wearing the uniform a lot of folks thought he should have been wearing from the start with the University of Georgia. This will be his UGA debut in an official game. We got a chance to see him at G-Day. That was certainly exciting. And for a lot of fans, they're kind of curious to see what he brings to the table. But then to go along with that, I think maybe one of the most buzzed and talked about players thus far this offseason. Some of this is official and on the record. Some of this, and a lot of you are very aware of these kind of conversations yourself, some of this is kind of like the whisper campaign, the rumor mill. People are saying a lot of really big things right now about Darnell Washington. So there's excitement about Gilbert making his debut. There's expectations for Brock Bowers because of what he did as a freshman. And Darnell Washington's a huge part of all that there as well. So these are big times around the Dogs and very exciting to consider. We'll take more of your comments here, and we'll probably go for a few more minutes and give you a chance to kind of weigh in all this. And as long as the weather cooperates, we'll try to stay on the air with you here for a little bit. We'll check in with Paul Martin right now. Paul, thanks for being here tonight on the DawgNation video channels. We appreciate your time and looking forward to hearing your thoughts on UGA. So what's on your mind?
Hey, BA, how we doing?
Hey, Paul, how are you?
Good. Perfect timing. I'm super excited to see how Monken cooks things up for these 4 tight ends that we have. It's going to be really interesting to see how they work it out. I'm actually probably most excited about Oscar Delp. Seeing how he was just dragging people along in the spring game was super exciting. So I'm really excited to see how they pull that off, and I'm curious of your thoughts.
Paul, great comment. Thanks for weighing in tonight. We appreciate you being here. And I'll tell you, a couple of Saturdays ago, I got a chance to go to a little bit of Georgia practice because of where I work. Our DawgNation studio is in Atlanta, so I don't get a chance to be in Athens very much. But a couple of Saturdays ago, I made a special point to come to Athens because I wanted to see some of the practice. There was a media availability to be able to do that. And in about the 10-minute or so period that I watched, I think in a lot of ways, Delp was the most impressive guy that I saw. I think that's kind of relative to expectations because there are some guys that are fast that you knew they're fast, and there are some guys that are big that you know they're big. Delp's one of those guys, and you're right, we saw him on G-Day, but that's still a relative newcomer to this Georgia program. And so when you see number 4 out there running drills, and I don't want to make this more than it was, this is just kind of a play polish style drill. It's an easy throw and catch type situation. But the way in which he looked in his uniform, the way in which he kind of stood tall, one of the things that's kind of always impressed me about recruits in the Kirby Smart era, they have good posture. Like I'm kind of leaning forward right now to kind of keep my face in the screen. But, the Georgia recruits, they're always standing tall, shoulders back. They just kind of are comfortable being big men. And in a lot of ways, that's kind of what Delp does. And I thought when I saw him on that particular day, he was as visually impressive as anybody that I did see. And you're left to try to conclude, well, what would it have been like for Oscar Delp to be in another program? Let's say he wasn't at Georgia. Let's say that he was at a lesser SEC program. At one point in time, he'd kind of flirted with going to a lesser SEC program. How much would a guy like that be standing out among almost everybody on the roster if he was on somebody else's team? And I think you're left to conclude that he'd probably be standing out in a pretty big, substantial way. That this is just a very big, very impressive dude. And I do think it's going to be very hard to keep him off the field. Now, we know this. There's a certain economy to all this. There's only one football to go around after all. And Bauer's going to get his. Between Gilbert or Washington, one of those guys is going to get theirs. But based on what you said, based on what you saw at G-Day, based on what we saw, those of us who followed Delp during his high school career at West Forsyth, based on some of what we heard thus far during practice, you're going to keep him off the field all year long? I don't believe you're going to be able to. We may even see him playing in substantial role coming up on Saturday a bit too. I think Oscar Delp, in other words, has a role on this team, and I think we could see that as soon as this Saturday. I think your comment on that's a very good one, Paul. Appreciate you weighing in. We'll get more of your comments rolling here in just a few minutes. Obviously, here on the DawgNation video channels, if you go to DawgNation.com, DawgNation on Facebook, DawgNation on YouTube, you can find the link. You can click in. We'll get you on. We'll try to keep it moving pretty quick. So my apologies to you if we don't kind of stay going with it too long. We just don't want to keep anybody waiting here too long. We're trying to have some fun in all of this. One of the names you've heard kind of mentioned in the defensive secondary competition right now is Javon Bullard. When you think about what's happening at safety, you've talked about a Dan Jackson, obviously. You've talked about an oncomer, kind of an oncoming guy like Malachi Starks. But when you think about safety or that star position where William Poole's a big part of that, keep your eye on Javon Bullard there as well. Kirby Smart had some interesting things to say about Javon Bullard today, saying that he's got tremendous toughness, that he's very physical. He's been a ball hawk on camp for us. He does whatever you want him to do on special teams. He's improved. So Smart always going to get that special teams nod in there. When it comes to competing at the star position or maybe at safety, it sounds like Javon Bullard has had himself a pretty good camp on all of that. All right, Guatemala Mike has gotten himself a better signal, so he's going to join us right now. Mike, thanks for taking time to be a part of the program, and we appreciate you being with us. So before you give us your thought on UGA, did I hear you correctly earlier? I know we kind of broke up a little bit. Are you actually from, or do you actually live in Guatemala?
Yes, we do. I'm an expat. We're doing some work down here, some humanitarian work. Been down here almost 20 years. Big Dog fan. I actually played against Herschel Walker in the state championship. So I've been a Dog fan since he went to Georgia. Yeah. Great bit of trivia there. So.
Yeah, that is a great bit of trivia. Let me ask, if you don't mind, is it hard to watch Georgia games in Guatemala? I apologize for not knowing. Is it easy to find the games on most Saturdays?
I do a workaround.
We'll let you keep some of your tricks a little bit of a secret there, so that's good stuff. But nonetheless, what's on your mind about UGA tonight, Mike?
Oh, man, I'm so excited for the season. I'm sure that we all are. I really thought the point that Connor made this morning about the tight ends and how Oregon got rolled up over with Utah last year and another team that used tight ends, that really got me excited. You know, I'll be watching the guys. Yep.
Yeah, listen, I think that's a great point. I thought what Connor said today was terrific on that. Mike, thanks for taking the time to join us from Guatemala here this evening. That's amazing. What a cool idea. We got producer in Atlanta, we got show host in Athens, we got caller in Guatemala, and somehow it all kind of comes together. Technology is actually a pretty amazing thing sometimes. And what Connor brought up today on DawgNation Daily, of course, Connor Riley, who can read at DawgNation.com each and every day, but each week we hear from him on DawgNation Daily, was last year, the team that had the most success against Oregon was Utah. And according to what Connor told us today, is that Utah actually ran more 3 tight end sets last year. I believe I'm saying this correctly. Some of y'all who were listening are probably better listeners than I am, but ran more 3 tight end sets last year than anybody did, and they just ran right through Oregon. Is that a good sign for UGA? Quite possibly could be. Connor also mentioned a team like Stanford, which beat Oregon a year ago, a pretty tight end heavy system there too. You know, that's been true for Stanford for quite some time. So maybe that's a good sign there as well. Georgia's deepest position group relative to the number of players in that group is the tight end position. So I would certainly expect them to have a big role on Saturday. And the fact that teams that have used tight ends have handled Oregon before, a little bit different system, a little bit different coaching staff, of course, but still very similar players. That tight end friendly style working against the Ducks, I think if you're a UGA fan, I do think you take that as a pretty good thing. Let's check in with Ron Wilson here tonight. Ron, thanks for being a part of our show tonight live on video, and we appreciate you being here.
Hey, BA, how you doing, man? So excited to be on this call. This is Coach Ron Wilson.
Coach, good to talk to you. Do me a favor, don't mute yourself.
I'm
If
not
you don't
sure
mind
if you can
muting
hear
your
me or not,
device
because it looks
that
as
you're
though you're speaking. So I don't.
We got you. Go ahead. Go ahead, Coach.
Oh, gotcha. All right, how about now? Is that better?
You're great.
Okay, I can't hear you, but I don't know if there's something going on with my sound, but I just wanted to say I'm excited to be on the call this evening with you. I'm Coach Ron Wilson. I coached for many, many years at Northside High School in Warner Robins. So a lot of great athletes to come through there, and some that actually played for our beloved Dogs. But I just want to say I'm a California dog now, because I'm living out on the West Coast in California, but still supporting my dog. Don't matter where I go, I am a dog fan. Excited to see this weekend with Oregon. Had a blessed to have an opportunity to meet you at the tailgate in North Carolina last year as I was there for the Clemson game, and got to meet Jeff, and also got to see Jeff when we were in Texas at the All-Star game. So I'm just a loyal, diehard dog fan, shouting out from the West Coast. Looking forward to this weekend.
Man, so glad to have you here, Coach. Thanks for being here, and hope you enjoy that game on Saturday.
Thank you so
Great
much
stuff
for the
from,
opportunity.
as he said, Coach Wilson. Absolutely, sir. So, longtime coach at Northside. Northside's got itself a big game on Friday, I believe. This is Northside versus Warner Robins this Friday, right? Do I have that right? Some of y'all, I think I'm right about that. I think you got Northside against Warner Robins here this weekend, so that should be a big rivalry matchup. And great to have Coach Wilson as a part of the broadcast here.
Warning. You are entering a restricted area.
You hear the alarm going off
Please
again.
return to the plaza.
That's not for me. If people get, I guess, too close to the rail over here, the alarm goes off. So the eye in the sky does not lie, and Big Brother's always watching you. The gates are open here, so you can kind of walk right into this. But if you get too close at all, it kind of trips a little bit of a sensor there on that. So keep that in mind as you go through all of that, if you're ever here in Athens for all that. But how about Mr. Wilson there saying he's out in California and ready for the game on Saturday? So we've heard from Guatemala here this evening. We've heard from California thus far this evening. A lot of dog fans weighing in, sharing their thoughts. And thus far, We've also heard a good bit of confidence from these UGA fans about what they expect from Georgia on Saturday. It sounds like a lot of folks are expecting a big Georgia win, which you will love the thoughts of. One of our great commenters each and every day on DawgNation Daily is our good buddy Hugh Nash. He's also joining us here this evening. Hugh, thanks for being with us. We're glad to have you here. What's on your mind tonight?
Hey, BA. Well, it's either blowers or alarms that are going off for you. You always catch me here in the parking lot of my daughter's dance studio. I have a prediction. 2 years in a row, the opener is going to involve Chris Smith, pick 6.
That is a great prediction. And let me tell you something. That would get Georgia fans quite fired up if a big senior leader like Chris Smith, who came back to UGA, if he helps set the tone defensively to start this season the same way he did a year ago, I can promise you, Hugh, I believe that Georgia fans would be quite happy about all of that. So a great comment from Hugh Nash, checking in from his daughters. I believe he said dance studio. So you never know where folks are going to be on a Tuesday night or during the day with DawgNation. Folks are working, they're doing stuff with their kids, they're exercising. Some folks like to kind of check in live for a minute, do some comments, and they save the show, come back, watch it later on. You never know what's going on there on that. But I'll tell you this, one of the things that makes me have the greatest job in the world, and I do truly believe that no one's ever had a better job than the one I get to do each and every day. And part of the thing that makes it so much fun is not just getting a chance to talk about Georgia football, but also get a chance to talk to so many great Georgia fans each and every day. So I'm incredibly thankful for all of that, and happy to have all of you here this evening. We're going to probably go for about 10 more minutes on comments, and then we'll get ready to wrap this up here this evening because we've got folks that are helping us out that need to get on back home to their families. So let's do as many of these as we can, like the next 10 minutes. And thankfully, it looks like, for the most part, the weather's kind of held off on us. It has not rained again. So that's pretty good news. So about 10 more minutes worth of comments, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up here this evening. So I believe Tanner, you're next up. Tanner, thanks for being here with us this evening, and go ahead and tell us what's on your mind. Go ahead, Tanner. We lost Tanner there for a moment, so we'll get some more calls up and running here in just a moment. About 9 more minutes of calls here this evening. And we appreciate all the great folks who've joined us tonight and made this such a fun thing to do. And this is one of those things, to be completely honest, this is a little bit of an experiment to see, hey, can we...
You are entering a restricted area.
That's not me, by
Please
the way.
return to the plaza.
The police are not getting me. They're getting that's the big voice getting somebody else. But the point here is that this is a little bit of an experiment to see, hey, can we be out on remote? Can we be here in Athens? Can we have me where I am and have you wherever you are? Can we take some calls? I'd say thus far this is going pretty well. If it's going this well in a rainstorm, then my guess is that it may go even better at other times. And so we may be able to take more of these calls here in the very near future. Let's weigh in on some stuff as it relates to Keely Ringo, who did speak to reporters a moment ago. Thought that Kirby Smart had an interesting comment on Ringo a little earlier about obviously the great play that we'll always remember for Keely. No matter where he goes, he'll always be remembered as a guy who helped bring home a national championship for Georgia. Smart with some strong words on that today, saying that play doesn't define the player. He says, but he can't let that go and let that basically become that, where he's defined by that. He says Keely Ringo can still ascend. He has a lot of things he can still improve on. I think that Kirby's right about that, that for some players in sports, there are obviously, one play that kind of defines you forever. Think about, in some cases that's a bad thing, like maybe Bill Buckner. Sometimes it's a good thing, like maybe Robert Horry, who's hit some game-winning shots in NBA Finals. Sometimes you are just kind of known for that one thing. But you have a chance as a player, and I love Smart's word on this, to ascend to something higher, to ascend to something better, to be an even bigger legend in Georgia football history by the time your playing career is done, based on what you do here this year. And I like the idea that Smart's challenging Keely Ringo to do that. My guess is that Ringo is probably about ready to respond on all of that too. All right, couple of more comments. We'll get ready to go here. We got a couple of more minutes. In fact, I haven't done any written comments yet, so let me see if I can say hello to some of our written folks. At that point in time, we'll get ready to kind of bounce out of here. on a Tuesday night. And thanks for making this fun, y'all. We wanted to try this one and see how it worked, and we've had, a little bit of, challenges and whatnot, but we appreciate you kind of weighing in on that and just sharing your thoughts here this evening. So on YouTube, I'll read a couple of these here for a moment. Also, Guatemala Mike, who joined us a moment ago, also writes in to say, any chance you guys can make some Eddie stuffed animals? Maybe one of these days we will do that. That's actually a good idea. Randy Payne checking in from Tifton, Georgia. By the way, if I step back here, you can kind of see I have on the Eddie shirt here tonight. It's not framed so you can see it too easily when I'm just standing here, but I do have the Eddie shirt on tonight. Kirby's Visor enjoyed the call-ins. Glad to have that, Kirby. We're going to try to do more of this. Greg Hendricks says, I'm excited to get to watch my dogs with my grandson. It's going to be his first. He's 5 months old. You better soak that up. You better enjoy that. I remember my own grandfather telling me stories about how happy he was when I came along because, as he said, he finally had a buddy to watch the games with. And the happiest, I'm telling you right now, some of the happiest moments of my entire life were my grandfather taking me to games, making me be a big dog fan, telling me all those stories about UGA. It's the best stuff, man. So enjoy it, soak up every moment. I know my own father loved doing that with my son and his cousin. So that's a special bond that Granddaddy has with a grandson when it comes to watching Georgia football. So you better enjoy every minute of that indeed, because that is truly a special moment to be sure. And it's been a great night for us here tonight. I believe we're going to take one more caller. Michael, why don't we end on this, just because it's getting a little bit late and I want folks to be able to get on with their Tuesday night here. We'll make Justin our last caller here for tonight. Justin, thanks for weighing in and being a part of our show. We'll let you have the final word tonight. How you feeling coming up on Saturday?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm excited about it. I was wondering, is Milton, has he been cleared to go yet?
We appreciate the call, Justin. Thanks for weighing in. There really isn't any kind of an official clearance with Kendall Milton, although the sense that I get is he is working his way back into a healthier situation, and my guess is he is going to be a go on Saturday. So obviously the guy that probably gets the first carry, and if I had to guess based on the way the conversation has gone thus far this summer, the guy who probably gets the most carry is going to be Kenny McIntosh. But the sense that I get is that Milton is getting healthier, and certainly you're hopeful to have him there on Saturday. Obviously, that hamstring injury that he dealt with did keep him out of both of the August scrimmages, so it's at least substantial enough that it's been an issue thus far during the preseason. But I know in which, at one point in time, Chris Milton, Kendall's father, said that Kendall was going to be fine. Kirby Smart has intimated that there as well. So I believe the expectation is that Milton will be available on Saturday. But there's also a thought out here that this could be a very big day for Kenny McIntosh too. So the Georgia running game definitely very much on folks' mind here. All right, so actually we're going to take one more call here tonight before we get ready to say goodbye. Our producer wants to get one more in here, so let's do that for him. How about Mad Dog Mike checking in here tonight? Oh my gosh, this is the original Mad Dog, I believe. Is this our friend, the multi-time Golden Shoe winner, Mad Dog? Is that you?
Yes, it is me. How are you, BA?
I'm doing well, Mike. I can't see you, but I can certainly hear you. Thanks for being here tonight, and we certainly appreciate your contributions to DawgNation Daily. You are a very talented guy. Your Photoshop edits are always so funny, and we always enjoy those, and I know you're looking forward to this game on Saturday. How are you feeling about it?
I'm feeling good. I actually feel really good about Kenny McIntosh contributing to the team this year. I think he's going to be a big X factor on the offense. I think he's going to be a mismatch and probably a check down receiver, much like Cook was last year. And I'm really looking forward to see how he's going to thrive in this offense with Monken.
Mike, I think that's a great comment. I appreciate you weighing in, and I do think making that comparison between Kenny McIntosh and James Cook is certainly an accurate one. And I think at times in McIntosh's career, we've even seen that from him. This is a very capable pass catcher. At one point in time this summer, Kirby Smart said, we want to grow NFL running backs around here. And Smart said, part of the way you do that is making them effective when it comes to catching the football. That's part of what you do when it comes to that. And Mike, I agree with everything that you said, but I would add something to it. I think that Kenny McIntosh is also really ready to show you, and I'm basing this on what others are saying to me in some respects, I think that Kenny McIntosh is also really ready to show you that he is, to use a phrase that Dale McGee used, a complete back. This is not just that slot receiver style running back catching the ball out of the backfield. This is also a very dangerous weapon running between the tackles. This is a very dangerous weapon doing the kinds of traditional things that a bell cow running back in the SEC kind of does. And to me, if I were to make a list of my 3 or 4 most interesting players on the other side of the preseason camp that for Georgia's now done, the practices that are ongoing right now are true Oregon game prep practices. But if I were to make a list of my 3 or 4 most interesting players based on what I've seen with my own eyes, based on what Kirby Smart has said, based on what other Georgia players have said, based on what the rumor mill has been saying, McIntosh is on that list. He's one of my 3. He's one of my 4. I have very high expectations for Kenny McIntosh. So I hope that Kendall Milton is able to play on Saturday. And I do believe that a guy like Dejon Edwards can obviously be a very big part of this team. And in some respects, I think he probably will be. Branson Robinson is a freshman that we've talked a lot about because of how popular he was as a recruit. But there's a chance, y'all, that McIntosh is really something special. And there's a chance they use him to set that tone for Georgia. Keep this in mind. A year ago, Georgia didn't have much offense against Clemson. But what did it do late when it needed to? It ran the football. It got what Kirby Smart called hard yards, converting some first downs when it had to keep the Clemson offense off the field. That even in a game last year, first game, where there wasn't many points to be had, Georgia still somewhat asserted itself with its running game. And Kenny McIntosh, in a slightly different way, may have a chance to do something similar here for this upcoming Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun. And obviously what we're doing here tonight is just one part of our coverage. On Thursday night, we'll see you live at the Marlowe's Tavern in Dunwoody for our huge event with former Georgia quarterback Jake Fromm. We hope to see all of you there for that. That's going to be a great time. And the same kind of conversation we'll have through video here, we'll have it live and in person with you on that particular Thursday. What a great experience that's going to be. A great chance to hear some stories from Jake Fromm, hear his thoughts about UGA going into the 2022 season. It doesn't get any better than that. We're really excited about being able to do that with Jake coming up on Thursday, and we sincerely invite all of you to be a part of it. Obviously, I've got you at DawgNation.com and DawgNation Daily each and every day. Mike Griffith, Connor Raleigh, they'll continue their coverage of what's happening here in Athens, getting ready for the Ducks on Saturday. Jeff Sintel with UGA Recruiting. He was yesterday in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, as 4-star offensive lineman Monroe Freeling made his pledge to UGA. And then on Saturday, it's DawgNation Duck Hunt Tailgate for those of you lucky enough to be a part of that. Obviously, our tickets sold out on that pretty fast. It'll be our Kroger kickoff before the game, some fun special surprises for that. It'll be our DawgNation post-game show after the game, and who knows, maybe even we'll invite you to join us for the DawgNation post-game show live on video Saturday night, just the same way we're doing here right now, so that you can tell us all what you think about what the Dogs do, hopefully after a big win against Oregon. But for tonight, thanks for being here with us on the DawgNation video channels for kind of a fun thing for us, live from Athens in Sanford Stadium. Beautiful night on the other side of this rain. Everybody feeling good and optimistic about Georgia against Oregon. We'll keep the conversation going and talk to you very soon here, right here on DawgNation.